Good morning. Welcome to our first assembly for middle school this year. And it's good to see all of you. And it's nice to be outdoors as well. Welcome to Madras Week. Tomorrow is Chennai Day. And I believe, looks like we have Rohan, Rihanna, Komala, and Ishan from grade 8. And from grade 7, I think we have Meda, Netran, and Tej, and Sashmita. Sashmita, right? Please tell us about your activities and what you're planning to do for Madras Week. Come on. First, we'll hear from grade 8. Yes? Tell us, what's happening for Madras Week? We have some microphones for you. So introduce yourselves, speak to your friends and to the cameras, and tell us what's happening on Madras Week at KC High.
So I'm Rohan from grade 8.
Komala from grade 8.
I'm Rihanna from grade 8.
I'm Ishan from grade 8.
And for Madras Week, grade 8 went to 3 places. So first we went to Luz or Luz Church, and then we went to St. Peter's Fort.
Sorry, St. George's Fort.
Yeah, sorry. And we went to
The Senate House.
the Senate House.
And what did you learn?
So the field trip was in relation to Madras Week, as well as the topic we're doing in social right now, which is exploration and colonization. So it's related to Madras Week because it talks about how the British and colonized and came to India and to Madras specifically.
We learned a lot about how the Portuguese and the British came to Chennai and Madras through the churches. And we also learned about the 7-layer plaster, the Madras 7-layer plaster, by going to the Senate House.
So we learned about a multitude of things, but to encompass everything, it's more of the impact of colonization on Chennai. So we saw that even from the beginning with the Portuguese establishing Christianity in Chennai, and now that's a pretty big religion in India. And you also have the British who have Fort St. George and the St. Mary's Church, which were like some of the first British establishments in India. And it shows that Europe has kind of built Chennai a lot and kind of imbued some of its cultures. For example, English is now a mainstream language here, and that's because of the British. So the field trip kind of showed us that we have a lot of impacts from the Europeans.
Can I ask a question? Who was here before the Europeans came, and what were their civilizations and cultures like?
Wasn't the Indus in the north?
There was the fishing village, actually. I think there were a lot of fishing villages scattered around, and I don't know exactly what their cultures were, but for a living, they lived by the coast, and they just fished and lived in little huts, I think, before the British and the Portuguese came.
Okay, and what about the larger area of Tamil Nadu? Have you learned anything about
I
the
think
cultures
that,
there?
It was Vijayanagara and Bamani that were ruling this southern area.
But
we
a lot of
also learned about the Mylapore village and how it's really old, like I think 2,500. I think that's what ma'am said.
Oh, that's interesting. And do you have any idea where the name Madras comes from or where the name Chennai comes from?
We know that there's not a single answer to it. I think there's 2 or 3 theories. Yeah. One of them is it came from a king, and I'll let you guys talk.
Another one of the theories is that it came from one of the rich and prominent families who lived here. I think the Madras. And it was named after them because I believe that they were the ones who lived here and funded it or sold it off.
And there was one more story that there was a piece of land that was first sold by, I think, a farmer or something to the British, and that was like the first piece of land. It's currently today it's in Fort St. George, but we don't know exactly what piece of land it was. But they named it after the person who sold it to them.
Very interesting. And have you learned anything about any traders or explorers who came to this coast before the Europeans came? No. Okay, great. We can have a lesson on that someday. Okay. All right. And have you enjoyed celebrating Madras Week? And tell us how it makes you feel. And do you think it's important to visit these areas around your home city and to get out and do field trips?
So I personally really enjoyed going to the field, doing the field trip, and I think it's important that we need to know about Madras's history and what it was like when the Europeans came here and what it was like before the Europeans came here too.
I think it's really important because it's important to preserve the culture that was there not only before the Europeans came, but also still there today. And like an example of that, which we learned, was that Madras plaster was like something that was used on walls, like to plaster walls, and it was something that was told. There was like it was not a written thing. It was the recipe how to make it was something that was passed down like orally, and so when the British came, they made the artisans who used to plaster walls and stuff. They made them to like change their livelihood. So it's important to preserve certain aspects of culture.
Great. Thank you so much. One last thing, if you don't mind. You were going to say something, Rohan?
Yeah, so Madras plaster was used as cement before it was invented, and it was a mixture made of different materials like egg yolks and other materials.
Great. Okay. Now, since we're talking about how people from all over have come to Madras or Chennai and settled it, and that Chennai has a very multicultural population, where do all of you come from? Are you all from Chennai originally? Were you all born here, or do you come from different places?
I'm from Hyderabad, and yeah.
My parents are both from here, but I was not born here
Where were you born?
in the US.
I see.
I was born here, but I grew up in Australia.
I see.
I was born in the U.S., but my parents are both from, one of them is from Andhra Pradesh and one of them is from Chennai.
How interesting. Okay, so you are in many ways typical Chennaites with roots here, but also roots in different parts of the world. Is that correct? Okay, great. Thank you very much for sharing, and I'm glad to hear that you've enjoyed the trip. Sorry about all the questions that you weren't prepared for, but that's part of school, okay?
Thank you, sir.
All right, next we have some grade 7 learners. Can you guys pass the microphone? Very popular group, I see. Can you each please introduce yourselves and then tell us about what you've been doing for Madras Week?
Hi, I'm Nathan. I'm from grade 7.
Hi, I'm Tej. I'm from grade 7.
Hi, I'm Kavya from grade 7.
Hi, I'm Maida. I'm from grade 13. No, I'm from grade 7. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay. Congratulations on that. What is it? What do we call that? A sextuple promotion. You got promoted 6 times in 1 year. Okay, great. Tell us what you've been doing for Madras Week.
So we basically went on this field trip to Bay of Life, which was like located in Kovalam, which was a surfing and ocean literacy school. We went there like to explore how life was like on the coastal areas and the different types of sea creatures and like corals. We also explored those, and it also helped us in our SDG projects, which was our sustainability development goals. So we got exposure to the threats of the beaches, to the flora and fauna found in the beaches, and yeah, pretty much.
Great. Sounds interesting. Did you actually get into the water or no?
No.
Oh,
Okay.
we are not.
And what else did you learn at Bay of Life?
We also learned how fishermen on a daily basis with these fish and these aquatic lives get like a economic lifestyle, I guess.
We also learn about beach erosion, and we also learn how rocks determine the coastline there. We also got introduced to more marine life, such as flora and fauna, like different types of flora and fauna in their life. And yeah,
Yeah, in itself, in the Bay of Life field trip, it was able to help me a lot in my SDG project. So in our SDG projects, we're supposed to take one goal from the UN and we're supposed to come up with problems and solutions. And they're supposed to like relate to Chennai. So my topic was industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And one thing that I learned from our field trip was the dangers of coastal expansion. I know that a lot of places in the world, they try to expand to places near the coastline so that they can kind of expand their fishing to grow economy, primary food source. Yeah, so I don't think that would be the best idea for Chennai right now because of the dangers of beach erosion. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Okay, and I also want to ask about shipping, but let me ask the three of you as well. Which of the 17 sustainable development goals, did you choose them in groups or as individuals?
Yeah,
And
we-
tell
we
us about
chose them
which
in
ones you guys are doing and
So
about your group
we
work, yeah?
had 2 sustainable development goals. One was SDG number 13, which was life below water, and the other was SDG number 14, which was life on land.
Yeah. So we did life below water. We thought it could connect to like Chennai and how we are studying in social science, like so how it could connect. So we did life below water, so which helped us this trip helped us relate to how what were the threats to the beaches and the sea creatures and how each sea creature thrived in the ocean. Yeah.
so even we picked life below water. We understood the threats, like he said, threats to marine life underwater, and we learned about habitat destruction, about the what we humans do to the oceans as polluting them, and how it doesn't help to the fishes and marine life in the water.
Yeah, I know that overfishing is a big problem in large parts of the world. Is it also a big problem on the Andaman coast here in this part of South India?
Yes, I do think it's definitely because there are limited amount of, like, it's not limited, but it's a variety of fishes underneath. So if we do overfishing, it might not always be good because we learned that while they were fishing, they picked up a lot of flora that they were not supposed to, and this was part of habitats, and this also destructs some of the habitats.
Yeah, so as she said, they catch a lot of fish and coil that they don't need, and they leave it on the beach to rot while not knowing that it's actually a living thing, and therefore they die habitat destruction, as she said.
So like the environment under the sea is not it has stable environment without the need for us to destruct it. We just go on destructing because we have another need, but instead of that we end up destructing the stable environment under the sea as well.
Sir, actually, one thing that I learned from my research is that prime can be divided into two parts. There's genetic and extractive industry. The genetic industry is where the resources, they could be further cultivated due to human intervention. And extractive resources are kind of like oil and minerals, which if they're overmined, there won't be any more in the future.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing, and it sounds like you guys have learned a lot, and this Sustainable Development Goals project seems like a very worthy project that you will be continuing for the next several years. Is that true? Yes. Okay, great. Thanks for sharing, and have a great week ahead. Thank you. Give a hand to the representatives from grade 7. And I believe we have some learners from the DDs and the GGs. Is that right? And I believe it's Kiara Squared and Ovia. Yes? Come, please. Come up onto the stage. Now, I know you guys are a little bit nervous because you see all these big kids in grade 7 and grade 8, but they're actually very sweet. Can you please give them a big hand for coming up and sharing? So don't be nervous, and can you please just introduce yourselves and then tell us what you've been doing for Madras Week.
My name is Ovia and I'm from Gigi.
My name's Karen. I'm from DD.
I'm also Kiara and I'm from Didi.
Which one is Kiara 1 and which one's Kiara 2?
She's Kiara 1. I'm Kiara 2.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so for Madras Week, we went to Dakshin Chitra. I think it's a heritage home. And basically, we learned about how it was like then. So,
You mean back a long time ago?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah.
so
Continue.
basically, we learned about the Toranam. This is the Toranam,
I see. And how is it made? What do they use to make it?
palm leaves.
Kiara, you have something to add?
Which one?
Do you have something to add? Would you like to add something to what you did? Do you have something that you've prepared?
No, this is.
Okay. Do you want to share, Ovia?
For Madras Week, we went to Mahabalipuram and we learned the history, what happened there. And first, we went to the shore temple, where the temple was near a shore, and there were actually 7 temples before, but 6 submerged because of a huge tidal wave. And then there's one which is left alone. It's protected with few rocks. And next we went to the 5 rathas, which means actually 5 chariots. And in each chariot there was a god or a family of gods. And next we went to the Butterball, which was the final place we went. And there I found a huge rock which was balancing itself for many years because of gravity. And it has been more than 1,000 years since it was balancing itself.
Wow, 1,000 years of balancing itself. That seems amazing, right? Haven't there been a lot of tidal waves and winds and storms and things?
I don't know about that, but I will check with.
Okay, please do. It sounds amazing. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like to add, Kiara?
Which one?
Yeah.
They also did pottery. So the pots were made there. We got to paint them in a small house from then. I think, yeah.
I'm here to talk about the houses there. They're just huts and they're made out of clay and coated with cow dung as a disinfectant. We visited the Chettinand house, Ambur, silk making, the potter's house, Kumbakonam, stone house, and the basket weaver's house.
Fabulous. What a great trip. Did you enjoy the trip? Yes?
Yes.
You like to do field trips? You want more field trips?
Yes, please.
And what about your friends? Is it nice to be with your friends all day on field trips? Where did you guys eat lunch?
We ate late lunch because it
Late lunch, huh? And what about you? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing and have a great Madras.